Alright, check the video out before it gets taken down by YouTube, even though there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm assuming that they're going to take down my channel April 2nd. So, Dragon Ball Super Broly. Sorry I didn't, I should have got on this earlier, but, better late than never. I just thought that the movie was just, okay. How I feel about the film narratively is really what I want to get into. But first off, I'll say that visually, the movie was beautiful. It was like like being on an acid trip. All the different colors with the Super Saiyan transformations and all that. It was a very pretty movie. And that's what I can say positive. The animation is good. Narratively, well, that's where it kind of falls apart for me. If you don't really watch Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super and you're just going into the movie just to see an anime movie, you'll probably enjoy it. Or if you're a little boy that doesn't really have too much of an understanding of the Dragon Ball storyline, then you'll probably enjoy it. But if you understand this series and have been watching it since it first came out, then you'll realize that the origin change, how Akira Toriyama decided to change the history of the Saiyans for this movie and basically do what he did in Dragon Ball Minus. I did a video on Dragon Ball Minus, how it doesn't make sense, but for this film, it doesn't make sense. Because even though the original Bardock special, the history of Bardock, or Bardock the father of Goku, it wasn't canon. It was made by Toei Animation, and it was created after Dragon Ball Z already came out. But it was done in a way that basically showed you how the events of Dragon Ball Z came to be. And what that means is we learned that Goku was sent to Earth on a mission to destroy it. So that's how Raditz knew how to find Goku. He knew that Goku had been sent on a mission to Earth because that mission was like, I don't know what word to use, but it was like documented. That's it. It was the mission was documented. So without that documentation, Raditz would never he wouldn't have been able to find Goku because the universe is vast, and if he couldn't have found Goku, then the events of Dragon Ball Z would have never happened. The Saiyan saga would have never happened. Therefore, the Frieza saga would have never happened. I mean, I don't know about the Android or Boo sagas, but I know those first two sagas would have never happened. And if Bardock and Gine decided to send Goku to Earth on their own, they said he didn't go to Earth on a mission. He was sent to Earth in secret because Bardock thought that Frieza was going to blow up the planet, so he got Goku off in order to protect him. The only two people that knew that Goku was sent off the planet and that Goku was on Earth was Bardock and Gine, and then they died shortly after. If Raditz was on another mission with Vegeta, which doesn't make any sense why a super elite Saiyan Prince would be on a mission with a low-class Saiyan like Raditz. Nonetheless, there's no way, even if Raditz believed that his little brother somehow had been sent off the planet, which doesn't make any sense. He should have just assumed that Goku had died. And he does assume that Goku died in the movie, but doesn't care because he's a low level like him. But I guess as not, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense. But the bottom line is Raditz believes Goku to be dead. So that's it. There's no Saiyan saga. If Raditz decided that, okay, years later, maybe maybe my brother Kakarot is alive, how would he wouldn't be able to find him because he wasn't sent to Earth on a mission. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't. The only two people that knew where he was sent to was Bardock and Gine. So therefore, the Saiyan saga can't happen, which means the events of Dragon Ball Super that happen after that origin, it can't happen. How are Vegeta and Goku hanging out or training together when technically Vegeta would have never even arrived on Earth in the first place because Raditz would have never arrived on Earth? And then Goku was a lot older. Just like in the Minus manga, he was a lot older when his parents sent him away. So why couldn't he remember him? I mean, he had to have been at least 2. Why couldn't he remember his parents? Why couldn't he remember anything about anything about Planet Vegeta? He didn't remember being in outer space for who knows how long. I mean, and he had his Saiyan battle armor on, too. By the time that Gohan found Goku, I don't see how Goku would have even gotten his head injury. Because I believe, from my recollection, that Goku was in a backpack of sorts that Gohan was wearing. And Gohan was standing next to a cliff. And I guess there was like an apple tree or something on the on the edge of the cliff. And Goku reached out of Gohan's backpack to grab the apple, and that's how he fell into the ravine and hit his head. So, with Goku being big enough to walk, and he's not an infant. He's even able to discern whether or not he likes you or doesn't like you. I don't even see how those events could have even happened. And I understand that Akira Toriyama had wrote Dragon Ball Minus as his version of Bardock's story and the Saiyan origin story. But the difference is, between his version and the Bardock special, is that even though the Bardock special happened after Dragon Ball Z happened, it was created to basically pave the way for those events to happen. You know what I'm saying? The mission that Goku was sent on is how Raditz knew that Goku was on Earth and knew that he was supposed to exterminate the planet. Whereas if he had been sent on his own, there would have been no reason for him to think any of that. And and the Bardock special or the Minus manga that Akira Toriyama wrote was, it also took place after Dragon Ball Z, but it took place after Dragon Ball Z had ended. So it took place 17, 16 years later. And I guess most people, you'd think they would go back and re-watch or reread their old material as to try to not contradict what's already been established in doing like a prequel to something. But I guess he just don't do that. I guess when he forgets something because he wrote it a long time ago, he just doesn't want to go back to it. So that's how these contradictions happen. But he did that in this movie, and basically it makes it so that the movie could have never even happened. I mean, the way that it happened anyway. So, that was something that I didn't like. Why did Bardock think that I'm sorry. Why did Bardock even think that Frieza was going to destroy the planet? I mean, in the Bardock special, it made more sense because he actually had a vision from the Kanassans that allowed him to see his own death. And he tried to avoid it, but couldn't. But in the movie, Bardock just has a feeling. He just comes to the conclusion on his own, I think Frieza's going to kill us because he's afraid of us. And then Frieza's subordinate was talking to Frieza about the Super Saiyan God. But even King Kai had never heard of a Super Saiyan God. And when Goku presented himself as a Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan in the Resurrection F movie and saga, Frieza didn't even pay him no attention. Like, he didn't even know what Super Saiyan God was. And that makes sense. So how is it... I mean, I can understand the Super Saiyan rumor being passed down from the generation of Saiyans that, that survived the destruction of the original Saiyan homeworld. And that destruction was caused by the original legendary Super Saiyan that went out of control and, turned into a golden great ape and just destroyed the planet. And the Saiyans that were on the planet, most of them died. Some of them, I guess, somehow had acquired space pods and were able to migrate to the Tuffle planet. And after a couple 100 years or so, they decided to take out the Tuffles and make the planet theirs. Then Frieza showed up and annexed them. And that basically means Frieza and his father took over and said, "You're working for me now." But the whole Super Saiyan God thing, I mean, that doesn't really make sense as to how, where would they get that information? Like, it was only even, according to Shenron, it was only ever documented in the Namekian Book of Legends. So somehow the Namekians were aware of it. But Frieza had never even been to Namek prior to the Namek Saga. That's been established. We know the only reason he went before was for the Dragon Balls. And even after looking at the planet to see if it was worth anything, he had decided he would rather just blow it up rather than sell it. So that doesn't make sense. It's only because Super Saiyan God was a new legendary form and they just wanted to promote it. That's why they did it in the manga. Why they did it in the Super movie, was cause they did it in the manga. So, instead of King Vegeta killing Paragus and Broly, he decides to just banish Broly from the planet. And, keep Paragus. Paragus leaves for Broly on his own, and they get stranded. He meets Broly on the planet Vampa, and, they get stranded there for, what, I think, over 40 years. So, this is actually something that I think is a little bit better than what was done in the Broly movie, the original Legendary Super Saiyan. I even made a video about how I felt like King Vegeta shouldn't have attempted to murder Broly, because even though I understand that Broly posed a threat to Prince Vegeta, and he posed a threat to the royal Saiyan family and just Saiyans in general, because he was born with such a high power level, he was also their, get out of jail free card with Frieza. Or get out of, basically, none of them could mess with Frieza. Frieza was too strong. So, instead of killing your only, something or somebody that could be your only hope of stopping Frieza, it would make more sense just to send him off on a planet. And then maybe you could come back and get him when you can't come up with any more ideas on how to deal with Frieza. I agree with King Vegeta banishing Broly rather than just killing him off, even though the end result was the same, which is the reason why I originally thought, I had a theory that Frieza found out about Broly's birth. That Frieza was monitoring all the Saiyans that were being born, just as King Vegeta was, and Frieza's the one that ordered King Vegeta to kill Broly, and then Frieza became paranoid from Broly's birth of the Super Saiyan and decided to do away with all the Saiyans. But if Frieza never knew about Broly, it makes sense that King Vegeta would just send Broly off away on a planet that only he knew about. You know. But, nonetheless, Frieza still destroyed Vegeta, as we know. It was kind of weird in the movie that Bardock would fire a blast at Frieza's death ball. It was also weird that his armor was like kind of torn out or torn up. And how did that happen? So, Broly in this version he's a little more gentle because he didn't go through what he went through in the original Legendary Super Saiyan Broly movie. He wasn't, first of all, he didn't have a nursery capsule right next to Goku. So he wasn't being tormented all day and night by Goku crying. And that's the reason why he doesn't have no beef with Goku in this movie. So he also wasn't stabbed through the chest and thrown out into the street with his dad as a baby that's only 3 days old. He also didn't have to rescue his father from an exploding planet in an energy bubble that can survive in outer space. Trust and believe, all these events happening to Broly when he was only 3 days old definitely contributed to his psychotic personality. Since these things didn't happen with Dragon Ball Super's version of Broly, he's not as crazy. You know, he was sent off the planet. You know, he was in like a space. He was in like a little water capsule instead of just a nursery, so he didn't have to worry about Goku's crying. He wasn't stabbed. He didn't have to survive the destruction of an exploding planet. He just started meeting these animals on Vampa and fighting them and defending them. And with Broly being born with a power level of 10,000, all these animals and creatures would do is to just serve him to realize his power and to utilize it. So aside from the fact that it was just Broly and his dad and these animals on this planet, and his best friend was like an animal, Broly really didn't go through too much. His dad, Paragus, was somehow able to come up with basically a dog shock collar for him, only to keep him from, going too wild, because inevitably Broly grew into his power and his power increased as he got older, which leads me to another issue I have. But first I just want to say that Paragus never attempted to use Broly to rule the universe. He never attempted to use Broly for revenge on King Vegeta or Prince Vegeta. Basically, this version of Paragus is a lot less maniacal as well. And basically, he only had that shock collar on Broly for his own protection. But in this movie, not only has Broly never even, at the start of the movie, not only has he never gone Legendary Super Saiyan before, not only has he never, attacked his father and caused his father to have to, have a scar around his eye because he knocked out his eye like he did in the original movie. Broly has never killed anybody at the start of this movie, and he's never fought anybody. So, the original Broly killed people. He destroyed planets and almost damn near a whole galaxy just for the hell of it. They needed to stop that Broly because that Broly was going to destroy the whole universe just for the fun of it. This Broly in the Super movie is really like a child. First and foremost, with him and his dad being stranded on this planet for like 40 years, Broly is like a 42-year-old virgin. So, Vegeta might have lost his virginity at 30-something, but, and Goku only lost his virginity at 18 because he just so happened to, run into Chi-Chi and accidentally promised her to marry him, and he just said, why not? So he just kind of fell into that situation. And Vegeta pretty much fell into Bulma too, but Broly, it was just him in Paragus. So Frieza ends up sending his people to pick up Paragus and Broly because Frieza's trying to rebuild his army after the end of Dragon Ball Super, the Tournament of Power saga. So they recruit Paragus and Broly, and Frieza wants to go to Earth to collect the Dragon Balls because he wants to wish to be taller. Which is a joke, but it's not a funny one. And on Earth, Goku and Vegeta are, they're still training, they're sparring with each other. And, basically, Goku, after the Tournament of Power and fighting Jiren, Goku realizes there are still people out there stronger than him, so that's his motivation to keep on training. Vegeta, Frieza's back permanently. And Vegeta's like, if Frieza was able to get as strong as he got in only a couple of months, we don't know if Frieza reached his peak at that golden form. We gotta stay frosty because Frieza could come back and kill us all. And he most likely will, and he does. But he doesn't come with the revenge on his own. Because you see how the plot happens. Bulma starts collecting the Dragon Balls because she wants to wish to take a couple inches off of herself. So Frieza wants to add a couple inches, Bulma wants to take a couple years off. It's just a reason, an excuse for the plot to happen. Nonetheless, Paragus and Broly talk. Paragus and Frieza and Broly talk. And there's this alien girl named Chile, I think. And she likes Broly. And because Broly defends her honor. And she feels bad that Broly has a shock collar on him. So she kind of takes the detonator or the remote to do the shocking from Paragus and hides it. So the next time Paragus has to shock Broly to calm him down, he won't have it. And this does factor into the movie later. So Frieza arrives on Earth. Goku and Vegeta and Bulma track down the Dragon Balls to the Antarctica, basically. And Frieza has all the Dragon Balls. He got them all. And but before Frieza even gets off the ship, Goku is able to sense Broly's power level in his base normal state. And he says his inner power is crazy. And I think that's crazy. Goku already knows what Frieza's energy feels like. He knows, not only does he know what Frieza's power level is, so he knows what Frieza, but he knows Frieza's energy signature. It's like a signature of darkness. So the second highest power on that ship was Broly's. And for Goku to say, based on what he can sense from Broly, that his power is crazy, Broly's power level in his base form has to already be over 1 billion, which is nuts because in the original Broly movie, Broly's power level didn't get to over 1 billion until he went into his legendary Super Saiyan form. In Broly's normal state, his base form, he was weaker than his dad. But then his Super Saiyan and legendary Super Saiyan form, that's when he went up to 1 billion. But this Broly is over 1 billion, in his normal, calm down state. And I know that Goku couldn't sense Broly's power that he had conserved deep down within him, because Goku, from my understanding, Goku and Krillin can even sense the energy that a person's hiding deep down. Like when Krillin got kicked by Cell, he could sense that Cell was hiding a lot more power. When Goku seen General Rildo in GT, he could sense that General Rildo was suppressing power that was comparable to Boo's. Fat Boo. So, with Goku not only not being able to see Broly, and not really knowing who what this other power signature is coming from, this is just, he didn't even know to look. Goku just felt Broly. So that's how you know Goku didn't feel his power deep down, because you have to search for that. He just felt Broly's power. And that's crazy, because Broly being stranded on a planet with these animals, he was born with a power level of 10,000, and it's just him and his dad. How could Broly have gotten any proper training? How could he have been pushed to reach such a level of power in his base form? If Broly grew into this power naturally, that's crazy. Because it doesn't... How? How is he this strong? He already said he never fought before. Paragus may have sparred with Broly a little, but even Frieza says in the movie that Paragus couldn't have been an effective sparring partner. And he's not going to get much out of the fighting the animals on Vampa unless they were as strong as those worms were in GT. And even then, I don't know. But bottom line is this: Broly is sent to go after Vegeta because Paragus wants revenge on Prince Vegeta, because King Vegeta banished his son, and then Paragus went after him. Paragus was never even banished himself. He left. So anyways, Broly fights Vegeta in his base form. Vegeta's fighting Broly in his base form. And even though Broly is stronger in his base form than Vegeta is in his base form, because Broly ain't never fought before, and Vegeta has many times, Vegeta's able to kind of hold his own with the stronger Broly because of that reason. But Broly starts to adapt to Vegeta's fighting style because, you know, he's a Saiyan and that's what Saiyans do. And inevitably, Vegeta has to go Super Saiyan in order to close the gap between him and Broly. But that doesn't work. So, you know, he realizes that Broly is getting stronger and stronger. His punches are landing. They're being more painful. You know, even though, since Broly's not a martial artist, just like he wasn't in the original movie, so he just grabs you and throws you, and, you know, he fights you however he can fight you. So Vegeta decides to go straight to Super Saiyan God and take Broly out rather than dick around and, you know, beat him up and toy with him, because he realizes that Broly could pose an actual threat if he, you know, dicks around with him. So, Vegeta going Super Saiyan God. He didn't go Super Saiyan God in the Tournament of Power, so I can only assume that he gained the ability to do this after the Tournament of Power. I'm thinking that Whis showed Goku how to tap into his Super Saiyan God form when they were in the gravity chamber prior to the Tournament of Power, and Goku just showed Vegeta what we showed him. So anyways, Broly ends up surviving the blast that Vegeta hits with him, and Broly kind of, he gains like a new power. He gains like a new power and a new form, and Paragus kind of assumes that this is the Great Ape form. The Great Ape form, but in humanoid form. Basically, his power being multiplied times 10 in Broly's humanoid form. And that actually makes sense, but it's just a theory that Paragus came up with. He's just guessing. He doesn't know what this new state that Broly's in, but basically his hair just gets all spiked up and his eye color changes and he gets a little bigger. And now his power is stronger than Super Saiyan God, because him and Vegeta start to fight again. Broly takes a punch to the face from Super Saiyan God Vegeta, so we know that he's stronger. Then Goku jumps in and he starts fighting Broly for no reason, because Broly doesn't even have no issue with Goku in this movie. So Goku starts off in his base form, then Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2. I don't really know, don't really care, because then he goes Super Saiyan God, gets his ass whooped by Broly, and then and only then does he go Super Saiyan Blue and gain the upper hand. It's at this point that Frieza realizes that Broly is gaining the upper hand, and after Paragus had tried to save Broly's life because he wasn't aware, like I said, he's just guessing, he wasn't aware that Broly would be able to power up. He thought that Vegeta was going to kill Broly as a Super Saiyan God, because he wasn't even aware that Vegeta or Saiyans in general were even capable of gaining this kind of power, because the most powerful Saiyan in the universe during the time that Paragus was on Vegeta was King Vegeta, whose power level was 13,000. So, after being on Vampa for 40 years, and you're seeing Goku and Vegeta bust out power levels of 282 billion and 400 billion and all this, Paragus is like, well, I gotta save my son. Whereas the other Paragus from the legendary movie wouldn't have cared. But this Paragus tries to get the shock collar device to call Broly down, but remember, Chile took it, so he can't do it. So, Broly continues to fight Goku as a Super Saiyan Blue. He's not losing, but Goku is gaining the upper hand. So Frieza realizes, he decides to make Broly a Super Saiyan. He remembers that he killed Krillin, and that's how Goku became a Super Saiyan. So he says, well, I'm going to kill Paragus and make Broly a Super Saiyan. If he's this strong as he is now, making him a Super Saiyan would, who knows what would happen. So Frieza kills Paragus, tells Broly. Broly does, for the first time ever, transform into the legendary Super Saiyan, and Paragus does not live to see it, because his death was the whole reason why the shit even happened in the first place. So Broly has this epic Super Saiyan transformation. And there's all these lights, and it's very reminiscent of the original movie. And his transformation actually damages Vegeta. I mean, not Vegeta, damages Goku's clothes just by transforming. So Goku is fighting this new legendary Broly for a little bit, but for the most part he's running away from him. Vegeta realizes this, and he joins the fight. Him and Super Saiyan Blue Goku, they both go Super Saiyan Blue and take on Broly 2-1. And it's a very short fight. It's so short, I think it's only a couple of seconds, honestly, before Goku and Vegeta just give up. They do as you've seen in the trailers and the commercials, they do a tag team Kamehameha Gallic Gun. And Broly just kind of just flies right through it like it ain't shit. So, and Vegeta quickly, I don't know what was going on, if they were rushing or what, or Broly's energy was really that dangerous, but Goku's shirt is completely, his undershirt, it's all torn off, just by the little energy blast. Vegeta was fighting Broly. Vegeta started fighting legendary Super Saiyan Broly as a Super Saiyan Blue, and it's like, I want to say maybe 15 seconds later, his armor is completely torn off. I mean, and then Goku and Vegeta end up just running away from Broly and putting Broly on Frieza. I don't know what happened, how Broly whooped their ass that fast. I mean, 1 minute Vegeta has fully armored, and he hasn't even been fighting that seriously. The last he fought Broly before as a Super Saiyan God, he didn't get hurt that bad. Now all of a sudden, Goku and Vegeta's clothes have been torn to shreds in a matter of seconds. So Vegeta, Goku, he had been talking to Piccolo on and off telepathically, and Goku decides to teleport, use an instant transmission, him and Vegeta to Piccolo, so they can figure out a way to beat Broly while Broly is beating the shit out of Frieza. They come to the conclusion that they can't beat him, so fusion is the only way. Even though Goku didn't go Ultra Instinct or use the Kaioken, and Vegeta didn't use his Super Saiyan Blue evolution, I guess they figure if we're this outmatched as Super Saiyan Blues, an extra added power up of Blue Evolution or Kaioken or Ultra Instinct ain't gonna matter. So they come to the conclusion that they have to fuse. The first fusion doesn't work, so they go again. The second fusion doesn't work, so they go again, and that fusion works. So bottom line is, Frieza had been getting his ass kicked for about an hour by Broly, and all I can say is, I guess if Frieza had clothes, they probably would have been torn. I can't imagine, though, that Frieza could have been a punching bag for a whole hour. I mean, it seems like Broly would have just killed Frieza. I mean, I could see Frieza maybe surviving 20 minutes because he is durable, but an hour? I don't understand why. I guess it's because of the story, and them not contradicting what's already been established about the fusion rules. But Broly should have killed Frieza and then went after Goku and Vegeta before they even had a chance to fuse. So, anyways, Whis ends up having to step in, and Whis is dodging Broly's attacks. He doesn't really fight Broly, but we can see that he's clearly stronger than Broly. Even though Goku and Vegeta need to fuse in order to beat Broly, apparently if Whis ever went evil, Goku and Vegeta would need to fuse to beat him too. So Goku and Vegeta end up fusing, and they don't go Super Saiyan Blue right away, which I think is pointless because as Super Saiyan Gogeta or Super Saiyan 2 Gogeta would technically be weaker than Super Saiyan Blue Goku or Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta individually. So, I mean, if they needed to fuse, it's like, and they know there's a time limit on the fusion, and the time limit is even reduced more because of the energy output that Goku and Vegeta have as, Super Saiyans or Super Saiyan Blue. They fight him as a Super Saiyan for a little bit, and then they finally go Super Saiyan Blue when Gogeta and Broly end up in this kind of pocket dimension where I guess they end up breaking the fabric of space and time, and that's when Broly breaks off his armor, and I guess this is supposedly the true legendary Super Saiyan form, but I watched the movie, and if you ask me, all Broly did was just break through his armor, and that's it. He didn't appear to have gotten any stronger. He didn't appear to have gotten any bigger. And he's, his first transformation was like so epic, where it changed the sky and energy was raining down, and it's like all he did this time was just break off his shirt. That's it. So that's when Gogeta goes Super Saiyan Blue, whoops Broly's ass, but Broly does hold his own. And then Gogeta almost kills Broly, but Chile, the chick that took Broly's shock collar device, She doesn't want Broly to die because he never really did nothing wrong. Even Goku came to the conclusion that this guy isn't really evil. He's just following orders. And, he doesn't even want to hurt nobody. And, but he will destroy the world. So they're willing to kill him to stop that from happening. But, Chile doesn't want him to die because, she wants him. She wants to take his virginity. So she doesn't want him to die a virgin, and she doesn't want him to die before she had a chance to hit that. So she uses the Dragon Balls, takes them off Frieza's henchmen, and uses the Dragon Balls to teleport Broly back to Vampa. And for some reason, Shenron only grants one wish. I don't know if saving Broly and taking him back to Vampa counted as 2 wishes, but if that's the case, they still should have had 1 wish left. But I don't know when's the last time the Dragon Balls have actually been used in canon. So, anyways, so Gogeta could have killed Frieza right then and there. But instead they decided to let Frieza go. The only thing I can figure is the reason why they let Frieza go is because maybe they want Frieza to bring some more strong monsters to Earth. Because this all happened because of Frieza. Gogeta is still in Super Saiyan Blue form when Frieza is getting ready to shoot down the spaceship of his henchmen that betrayed him and used the Dragon Balls, and now they're trying to escape Earth and go to Vampa. And Frieza's getting ready to shoot that ship down for them betraying him, and Gogeta stops him. He could have disintegrated Frieza with a snap of his finger. But instead, he lets Frieza leave. Like I said, then there could have been no worries. So, basically, the bottom line is Goku ends up going to Vampa using instant transmission, talking to Broly, saying, "Call me Kakarot," because all the other Saiyans do, and that's the end of the movie. Basically, it's just that it's just, the Saiyan origin and then the big fight scene. That's all the movie is. It's just a big fight scene with Broly. And Broly, who had never trained a day in his life like Frieza, has a natural birth power that is stronger than a Super Saiyan God, and what's stronger than 2 Super Saiyan Blues. Goku and Vegeta had to fuse as Super Saiyan Blues. The strongest Super Saiyan transformation ever. They had to fuse as Super Saiyan Blues in order to take down a guy who had never fought a day in his life, trained a day in his life, and Broly was still holding his own. So, this Broly being as strong as he is doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, I could see this movie working if Paragus and Broly were like from an alternate timeline of the Saiyan history. So that way the events of Super can happen. But for Broly to be as strong as he is, I mean, I could only assume somebody would have had to experiment it on him or something to boost his power, or did some gene splicing, because him being this powerful naturally doesn't make a lick of sense. I mean, he's just the legendary Super Saiyan. Why is he stronger than 2 Super Saiyan gods? And I mean, I know that's how the movie needs to be, and people wanted to see Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, but, basically, if Paragus and Broly were from another timeline and Frieza were somehow discovered them and then brought them to Earth, and then Goku and Vegeta had to fight this alternate timeline, stronger version of Broly, way stronger version, but not as evil, not evil at all actually, version of Broly. That would help to make it fit not only within the canon of Z, but also within the canon of the movies as well. Even if they don't acknowledge that they fought a Paragus and a Broly before, or make some kind of reference to it, it still works. But, like I said, base form Broly is just about as strong as legendary Super Saiyan Broly from the movies. The old movies. Legendary Super Saiyan Broly is stronger than the strongest guy they fought, Merge Zamasu. Because, see, when Goku and Vegeta fought Merge Zamasu, even though they eventually had to fuse in order to beat him, they were able to hold their own 2 against 1 for a minute. They couldn't even last seconds against Broly as 2 Super Saiyan Blues. That's proof that legendary Super Saiyan Broly is stronger than Merge Zamasu, but he's still weaker than Whis. Because Whis also has the Ultra Instinct thing going for him. Even though it's not a form, but, you know. So with that being said, those are all the issues that I have with the movie. And it's fun. It's a fun movie. And it kind of opens up the door for future events since Broly didn't die. But, I mean, somebody that strong being a sparring partner or being a main character in Dragon Ball Super, I don't know how that's going to work. But, anyways, that's all I got to say on the matter. I guess if I'm going to give it a review or a rating, I give the Broly movie a 7 out of 10. Because it was good, but could have been better. Could have made more sense. You know, could have answered some questions. I guess it was cool seeing Gine in there. Goku's mom. Oh yeah, there was also 2 other Saiyans that survived the destruction of planet Vegeta alongside Nappa, Raditz, and Vegeta. But I guess somewhere along the line, those Saiyans ended up dying too. Alright, this is DBF Hellstorm signing out, and I'll get with y'all a little bit later. Peace.